Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jacks. I don't care if I never get back. Simply root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes around in the old ball game.
I have been collecting for most of my life. I started out as just a child collecting rocks and minerals, then I went into collecting coins and collecting U.S. stamps, and then I migrated into collecting ball cards. Did that for a few years, and then out of that I just decided I was going to try collecting something different, and as a result I ended up collecting the old-time vintage ball gloves.
Dave's collection includes over 100 baseball gloves and around 40 vintage softball gloves. His baseball gloves reflect the various web and glove styles from the 1880s through the 1950s. Dave has no duplicates and collects each glove for a reason.
The fielder's mitts of the softball I collect not from the web styles, but more so from the pads that are on the front and the colorations of them. I love the contrasting colors of those old-time softball gloves. So each of the gloves, though, in the collection does represent some specialty, making it unique enough to put it within the collection itself.
How Dave actually got started on his collection is a unique story all its own.
For my collection, I actually picked one up at a local garage sale. Actually 2 ball gloves. I had no idea what they were. I had no idea that they were even a ball glove. But I had bought them cheap enough that I felt like it's not a problem. I'll just go ahead and try to figure out what these old ball gloves were about. And so I got 2, and one of them turned out to be a very rare and unusual ball glove, which I found out by way of the internet. Back at that time, the internet was just starting, and I learned through a California collector named Rob Muka that he felt that I had a very, I guess you'd say, a very rare type of ball glove. And so I hung on to that ball glove for 10 years. Did not trade it off, did not sell it, just wanted to keep it as part of my collection. As time went on, I realized that my collection was not nearly as progressive as some of the other collectors in the hobby. And I went back to my first person, that was Rob, and asked him if he wanted to do a trade. So we did what he described as a mega trade, and I ended up with about 14 or 15 of his high-end evolutionary ball gloves for this one ball glove. Well, that gave me a kickstart into the hobby and the evolution of all the different ball gloves, and so from that point it just kind of took off.
As Dave's collection grew, so did his knowledge of the evolution of gloves. It all began with no glove, just a player's hand. Next, an unpadded glove was created, but was considered unmanly and wasn't widely accepted. It wasn't until a now famous name made the scene that the evolution of the glove truly took flight.
The next guy that really got, I guess you'd say, the ball glove to be acceptable within the community of the profession was A.G. Spalding. And you've heard of the guy, Spalding Chicago Sporting Goods. He put on a black leather glove. And because of his strong reputation that he had built as a pitcher, the fans and the players allowed that to happen. And everybody started apparently to realize, hey, the glove is not so bad after all. Your hand doesn't hurt after a game. It can protect you. It can offer ways of catching the ball better and more effectively. And that kind of kicked it into high gear with at least the acceptance of ball gloves.
Dave has put his extensive knowledge of the gloves to good use. He's written 3 books about the gloves and the history behind them so far.
I really feel like, though, some of these gloves, as I started learning in the hobby, I had no idea that they even existed. So I wanted to share the hobby. I was excited about it, and I thought, you know, I'm going to go ahead and try to take pictures of my ball gloves, and I was kind of getting encouragement from my fellow collectors from Texas and California, and I thought, I'm just going to try to write a book on this and share it with other people, so that's what I did. And I titled that first book that I wrote, A Fielder's Dream Glove Collection. And the reason being because it's all about fielder's gloves.
Dave has also written a second book called A Visual History of Ball Gloves, and now a third called Baseball Gloves Merge with America's Past, in which he includes photos of his gloves, along with a timeline of events, inventions, and discoveries encompassed with their history.
I want people to learn not only about the old historical ball gloves, but also about America's past, the culture, the American culture at the time these gloves were being made. I wanted people to learn about the inventions and discoveries that went on. Very inventive people, just like those inventors of the web designs, those creators of those gloves, they had in their mind something they wanted to try to improve a glove, to make it more efficient, to make it more effective. And there's all kinds of inventions, just like the lights and razors and all kinds of things that, you know, your television, your radio, all that stuff there was discoveries made. And so I just kind of summarized that briefly. I didn't want to go into great details, but I wanted to widen the audience. I want a 10-year-old boy or girl to be able to pick this book up and see the coolest ball gloves around that they've probably never seen, just like myself. It could be, you know, kind of a book of learning and a book of sharing family time. Rather than sit at computers all day long and play video games, to me it made sense. Let's get this book out to the public. So I'm hoping that will happen, that people will get involved and learn more about this cool hobby that I got involved in.
As evidenced by the writing of his books, Dave has a tremendous passion for his hobby, but he doesn't have any plans to make big changes to his collection anytime soon.
It is so unique. I think that people just are kind of taken back, and that they say it looks like it really belongs in a museum. I really feel like it does belong in a museum, and I'm kind of hoarding up all the opportunity to look at it, but someday I might be open to that or something. But at the same time, it's kind of nice to have it here and just to be able to sit and look at the variations. The thing that I could do is improve on my gloves that I do have, condition-wise. At some point I would need to make that decision. You know, if I want to actually sell a glove or trade a glove that was in my book, then I would do it to upgrade. That would be the basic reason I would shift.
For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes.